Chris.
Heath.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
And you know what?
What?
Rumor has it we have a few more listeners who are new to the show, so I'm just going to front load things right away. Say this is Mobius Tubes episode 32. We're recording live on January 12th, 2020.
That's right.
And you can send us an email, which we will read on the air, guaranteed. You can write to us at mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and there will be lots for the fans to email us about because today we have a pretty good episode.
Definitely at least average.
Well, hopefully it's good enough to warrant the podcast streaming services to give us these freaking portrait things. Okay, so Chris,
Yeah,
you handle all the uploading and whatnot.
I do.
And so when you upload to Apple, are there slots for us to put our photos of ourselves as like hosts of the show? Because I'm looking at Joe Rogan's podcast and I'm looking at Malcolm Gladwell's, and he and Oprah are smiling as soon as you open the app.
They sure are.
Why aren't I just mugging it up for our listeners? They got to know what we look like unless, and here's where you can chime in. Did I tell you about the podcast No Such Thing as a Fish?
I don't think so.
It's like a British trivia podcast. They bring in like their favorite facts of the day. The title of their show is a reference to a fact that was brought in. There's 4 hosts of that show, one of which was a lady. And I liked her voice. And I thought that her voice was very pretty. And then I saw a photo of the hosts.
Yeah.
And she was not as pretty as her voice made her out to be.
I see.
So should I upload my face alongside the podcast, or am I concealing how ugly I am to our listeners?
There's no safe way for me to answer that question. You just backed me up into a corner there.
And it comes at a very important time because, not to get too vain, but I am not as physically fit as I once was.
What?
And you can back that up.
I don't know. I feel like for someone to purchase the Do You Even Lift card game, you have to be pretty physically fit.
Pretty aware of physiques and
if
stuff.
you don't clear the threshold, they stop you at the counter and say, you have to return that, sir.
Do they? No, because I bought it online, so they need not see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you found a loophole.
Yeah. The reason I bring this up is because I took a shower this morning, as did you, and I found a mark that I think is a stretch mark. And this is podcast sin number 1, but I'm gonna show it to you, and we'll catch your reaction for the listeners. It's not it's revealing, but not It's here. I'll show you.
Okay.
Right. So it's like that.
Oh.
Is that a stretch mark? I'm 24. Should I have this?
It just looks
like
you.
Like a bruise, but there's another one parallel to it. So I'm kind of like, oh crap. Too many mint chocolate chip cookies.
No, I think you're fine. I've definitely seen something like that on my body.
Okay. Well, needless to say, the lifting starts up again. I've gotten too overweight, even though I'm like 160.
Oh man,
so,
the overweight, underweight is going to transition beautifully into Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, perfect, yes! Okay. We got the front-loading banter out of the way. So, will we have our cute little portraits on the podcast delivery mechanism of choice?
I will do some cursory investigation, but I'm going to make no promises.
Okay. And then when our viewership takes a dive after my photo is uploaded, you react accordingly. Save our
Of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's just dive right into it because I've been playing a game that's been out since episode 1 of Mobius Tubes.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, because we started recording this in November 2018 and Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in October of that year. So I have been waiting a while to play this. It's been high up on my anticipation list. Mm-hmm. And I left you on a cliffhanger last episode where I was like, is my PC up to snuff for playing this in the fidelity that I would like to see? And I came to a solution. I did not upgrade my PC. I tinkered with overclocking. You know about overclocking,
boy.
don't you,
Yo.
Heath? This is where you start pumping in higher voltages and higher clock speeds on your computer components to just squeeze every last ounce of performance potential out of them.
It's risky though.
Oh yeah, I could do irrevocable damage to my PC by doing this. But, I like to live on the edge when I play Red Dead Redemption 2. So what I ended up doing was I overclocked my CPU from a 4.2 gigahertz speed to a 4.4 gigahertz.
Same processor, you just make it go faster, harder,
and
stronger.
that had a small benefit to the performance. Like I was seeing maybe an extra 5 frames per second, which when I was only getting 40 or so, that's like a 10% performance increase. So not trivial, but not amazing. What it finally sealed the deal for me was I was so ambitious. I had some settings all the way to ultra for Red Dead Redemption 2. Mm-hmm. I cranked them down to high. And now I'm very happy with the performance I'm getting. It's pretty much 60 frames per second in most areas.
Okay. So, and for that reason, you were enjoying the story that much more?
Oh yeah, my enjoyment skyrocketed as soon as I made these tweaks.
Wait, okay, hold on. Are you still joking or is that truthful?
It's truthful because
Wait, really?
instead of when I was playing the game previously, about 50% of my focus was just in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen where Steam displays your in-game frames per second, and I was just watching that like a hawk to see where I was at performance-wise. I was barely focused on the game. I was just like, how low can I make Arthur's beard texture before I throw in the towel? That's enough of that. Let me give the viewers a progress report of how far I am into this game. Steam tells me I have played it for 23 hours so far, and I am about the midway of Chapter 3. That's where I'm at.
You've been run out of Valentine?
The camp location has transitioned once.
Okay.
And this game has been one of the most ambitious and most impressive games I've ever played. However, I wouldn't necessarily say it's been the most thrilling or fun games I've played. Not that that's necessarily a bad
Labor
thing.
intensive.
It's a bit kind of like what you put into it is what you get out of it. It's not this light, breezy time. If you go back to one of our very early episodes, I tried to make a case for why I don't think games need to strive for being fun. They can be worthwhile in other ways. And this game, Red Dead 2, is definitely a worthwhile game. Where to even begin? You play as Arthur Morgan, who is a part of this outlaw group, this camp of bandits, and he fills the right-hand man role. He's not leading it, but he's definitely respected throughout the camp as being a reliable guy.
He's not lawful neutral, but he might as well just be true neutral because you're still stealing from people and evading the law, but you're not outright slaughtering towns.
Yeah, how the world perceives you is kind of a bit up to you because you can be the outlaw with the heart of gold like I am trying to play and have a very good reputation, or you can be just completely sadistic if you want to. Kill someone's dog in front of them and skin it alive. Anyway,
let's get to the important questions. How fast is your horse?
My horse I've reached full companion bonding level with my horse.
Okay.
So it's as fast as it's going to get. That said, it's not that fast. I got this horse in one of the early story missions where you go to the stable and buy one.
Yeah.
Have not replaced it yet. Although I was looking up, if you go up to the mountains, there are some pretty enticing horses up there. I think it's like an Arabian horse. It's all white. That seems really cool. Maybe I should put on my winter gear and trudge up there. You look like you have a question.
So you're playing on PC.
Yes.
So one of my complaints of my first playthrough was that getting to like the challenges menu meant like hitting back out several times. And maybe because I was playing on Xbox that the navigating menus took a lot more effort than I assume you're having to do. Well, first of all, have you bothered with any of the challenges maybe not like collect 4 berries, but are you aware of like, race from Valentine to Rhodes in under 7 minutes?
The only challenges I've really cared about at all are hunting challenges.
Okay.
Like turn in 5 carcasses to Pearson, kill 3 animals with a varmint rifle. Those are the ones I've been working on.
How patient are you with hunting? Because when it comes to like the bow mechanic and sniffing them down, my patience wears very thin, and by the end of my playthrough, I developed a technique in which I'm top speed on my horse carrying a varmint rifle, and I am just mashing the eagle vision. Eagle vision is when you're hunting and it goes blue and you can see the stink of animals, and you just wait for like a flashing out of your periphery, and then you go into Deadeye, and then you pop a rabbit and you get the perfect pelt you need. But are you taking this like grassroots initiative like the Native American?
So I have not ever gone on an explicit hunting expedition. What I do is
you come across legendary animals though.
So I went with Hosea up into the mountains and found a legendary bear, and we ran away. But all of my hunting has basically been I'm riding from story mission to story mission. Oh, there are some animals right on the side of the trail. Let me look at them. Oh, this one happens to be a 3-star animal.
Right.
Let's take a shot at this one. And then if I happen to kill it, going into Deadeye, using the right kind of gun, like a rifle for a deer or the varmint rifle for like a rabbit. And then I kill it while preserving the hide's quality. Then I throw it onto the back of Roach, my horse, and we ride off back to camp to give it to Pearson for future crafting upgrades.
You beat me to and I can't believe I didn't ask this when I brought up the important questions. I asked about how fast your horse was. I should have asked what your naming convention was going to be. So you said Roach?
Yeah, Roach.
Why would you do that?
That's the name of Geralt's horse from The Witcher.
Okay.
Which I take it you haven't been watching The Witcher. Shame on you.
No, I haven't.
But your parents have.
But my parents started watching The Witcher before me, and I have no excuse, as you will find. I haven't been playing very many games this week, but I'm gonna make up for it with some other things.
Yeah, from what you've told me, you've outsourced your game playing. Very pragmatic of you as a podcast host.
Well, this is just not necessarily as a podcast host, but how I enjoy entertainment primarily, whether it is making my brother and my girlfriend play. My brother beat Outer Wilds.
We're going to get there, and I'm excited to hear the Seth take.
Yeah, and it's egregious, but
okay.
You want to put a button on Red Dead? You're not doing online at all because you're not that type of guy.
I haven't touched online. And you said put a button on it. I'm only getting started.
Oh.
I've got so much Red Dead to talk about, and you're going to sit through all of it.
All right.
I'm not the first person to make this kind of observation, but if you were to look at the open world game design spectrum, Red Dead Redemption 2 is about as far away a polar opposite as Breath of the Wild as I can possibly imagine.
Why?
So, Breath of the Wild, they give you like an objective, a challenge, and you can tackle it in all manner of different ways. Red Dead Redemption 2, you're like playing by Rockstar's rules.
You're talking like exploration?
This is more about the actual main story missions. Here's the perfect example that highlights exactly what I'm talking about. You either complete the mission the way Rockstar intends, or you don't complete the mission at all. This is very early. We were rode over to deal with this rival gang, and we have a shootout, and we emerge victorious. And then one of my companions, he says, "Oh, Arthur, go check out that cottage over there. There might be some supplies in it." This is early on in the game, and I am poor AF, which I like how harsh the economy is in this game, which maybe I'll get to later. But yeah, I barely have 2 pennies to rub together. So you bet I'm going to be looting all these sweet, fresh corpses we just made, grabbing everyone's pocket watch and
I know where this is
money.
going.
I do this for maybe 60 seconds or so. All of a sudden, I'm greeted with a
screen goes white.
Mission failure screen.
Yeah.
And it informs me I did not go investigate the cabin fast enough. And then I have to go play the whole shootout part again because Rockstar said you didn't progress.
They think you abandoned the posse.
They think I abandoned the posse. So the wiggle room for how you tackle these missions is almost non-existent. And you'd think I would complain a lot because this reduces your agency as a player and you're basically just Rockstar's puppet. It kind of feels like Rockstar's the director, you're the actor.
Oh.
And every time you deviate from the script, Rockstar says, cut, we're going to do that scene again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's almost diminishing like the game part of it, but it comes with an advantage to it. And that Rockstar they've given you, there's only the one experience going through the Red Dead main story, but they've made sure that it's a really good, finely crafted experience.
They're a good director.
They're a good director. They're a good storyteller, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're telling you the story. You're not necessarily the most active of participants in it. So yeah, that's my kind of take on Rockstar's approach to the open world game design.
You agree with what Nakey Jakey said in his video? Or did you not watch that in fear of spoilers?
I think I skipped it, but from what I've heard about the video, I feel like I'm probably echoing his same sentiment there.
Yeah.
In a game like Breath of the Wild, there's kind of some emergent moments that happen when interesting subsystems interact with each other, like the lightning striking your metal weapons and things like that. Red Dead Redemption 2.
You can wait. Let me, because we've done metal weapon completing the circuit like 3 times so far.
I just love it.
Friggin', you can also time freeze a boulder and then whack it 1,000,000 times to give it momentum, and then shoot it with an arrow to give it direction, and then hop on the boulder, and then when the time freeze stops, the boulder's momentum carries it over whatever obstacle you couldn't get over. There's so much you can do in Breath of the Wild.
Right. Your capacity to express yourself creatively through Breath of the Wild's mechanics is commendable. That's not really on display in Red Dead Redemption 2, but in Breath of the Wild, the cool moments are very mechanical. The cool moments I have encountered while wandering across this immaculately beautiful world in Red Dead Redemption 2, they come across as being like very scripted moments. Here's one that I really liked, where I was plodding around on Roach, riding on the trail, and I'm passing by this forest, and this guy comes stumbling out of the brush, and he's like very distressed. He's screaming. He's gripping
Help
his
me.
leg.
Yeah.
Whoa, Roach. I stop, hop off, go, what's up, man? And he says, I've been bitten by a snake.
Please, it hurts so much.
I can give him a health cure,
Or
I can suck out the venom. And you bet I didn't want to part with one of my very limited health cures. So I crouched down and started sucking out his venom. And so he was very appreciative of it. And then we parted ways, and I thought nothing of it. And then I rode into Valentine a couple hours later, and the same guy was
sitting on a bench
outside the gunsmith talking to his friend about
Did
the
you
guy
hear?
who sucked out his venom.
I'm alive because of this hero.
And then I walk up to him, and he goes, oh my gosh, I can never properly repay you, but why don't you just go on in the gunsmith and take your pick of any weapon you want and put it on my tab? And I thought that was so cool.
Okay.
I thought it was significantly less cool the second time that happened.
Yeah.
Now, I should call attention to the fact that this was a totally different guy I ran into, a whole different dialogue.
Wildcat mauled him. Yeah, you could either give them medicine or alcohol kind of thing.
Yeah, and then when I later found him, this time outside of a general store instead of a gunsmith, he was having a totally different conversation with his friend. So I guess Rockstar they threw in all these very scripted moments, but there's like so many variations of them, it kind of boggles the mind how much like man hours went into making this very explicit
100-hour work
content.
weeks.
Yeah, 100-hour work weeks.
But
it kind of shows.
Paid off, yeah.
So yeah, both impressive and kind of disappointing at the same time. When you see those, it works so well the first time, but when you start seeing them repeat, they lose a lot of their impact. And yeah, last but not least, this game is very slow. Like, Rockstar has this almost obsessive fixation on just riding your horse and taking in the sights. And this game is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's like wow, I almost like, I don't mind that there is no fast travel for the first big chunk of the game. And when you do get it, it's only one directional. So you always have to manually ride back to camp. I don't even mind it because it is so gorgeous to take in this world. And yeah, even though I'm just pressing the A button in a rhythmic pattern to ride my horse, it's sufficiently holding my attention because of how just beautifully crafted this world is. And to end Red Dead discussion for now, I want to ask you a question, Heath.
Okay.
So Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
In the United States, it was the best-selling video game of that year. It actually beat Call of Duty that year, which doesn't always happen.
Right.
And in Europe, it did really well. It was the second best-selling game, only falling behind that juggernaut that was FIFA. So clearly, Red Dead Redemption 2 has mainstream appeal. My question is, why does this game have mainstream appeal?
Because the first one.
Because the first one, you say. The first game,
Yeah.
I would almost argue the first game is a lot more arcadey / more traditional video game than this one. I'd say Rockstar goes to pretty great lengths to make you feel like, no, you're not playing a video game set in the 1899 Wild West. You're living the life of the 1899 Wild West. The simulation aspects of this game are
Considerably higher than the first one.
considerably higher. And I had heard about them, but even still going in, there's more going on than I would have expected. How I have to actually like clean off my horse with a brush, and I'm constantly malnourished because I never eat anything.
We talked about the weight aspect. Are you healing by sleeping, or
I have been.
Also, how's your hygiene?
I keep myself.
Are you dirty?
I give myself regular haircuts and beard trims, but I don't usually wash unless I like cross a river.
Okay.
And yeah, there's your health core, your stamina core, your Deadeye core, and those are like the actual amount of Deadeye you have at any given moment. But then there's the core, which is like how fast it refills, and that's constantly ticking down unless you go sleep. And then there's like the temperature you have to take into consideration with which clothes you're wearing. It's a lot. And I was looking
Why
over.
would this have general appeal?
Yeah, why would this have general appeal? I look over like I'm on the Wikipedia article for 2018 in gaming, and it breaks down by territory of what the top 10 highest unit selling games were that year. And I'm seeing a whole bunch of multiplayer games, a bunch of annualized sports franchises, some very like high octane God of War games. And this is at a pace that is, in comparison, quite glacial. And not to mention that this is a long game. It's no small undertaking to play through Red Dead Redemption 2. And I took it upon myself to get to the bottom of this question.
Why did they buy it?
Why did people swarm this game? And that's not a knock on the game's quality. It seems out of place compared to like all the other really high selling games that year and any year basically. So let me tell you about the 3 types of Red Dead Redemption players around my office.
Okay. Okay. This is very microcosm.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say it applies globally though. This is universal fact.
Okay.
My sample size of 3. Uh-huh. Okay. So there's
you.
There's me. And I feel like you fit into this category as well. We're the core video game players. We play most of the big releases anyway. It was just an inevitability we were going to play Red Dead Redemption 2 at some point.
Yeah.
Most of the games on like the highest selling list, we end up buying. So we're just like a given. That wouldn't elevate any game to the number 1 position by us because we're broadly buying a lot of the games that sell well.
Right.
All right. Now we have a coworker I'm going to call Adam.
Okay.
He's definitely a fan of games. He's got like an Xbox at his house.
Yeah.
He's a good deal older than me, 10 to 15 years older. He doesn't have quite the same amount of time to play.
He probably did a Halo.
Oh, yeah. He recalls Halo fondly from his fraternity days.
Okay. Maybe a Madden.
But it had been a couple of years since he'd bought any games. But he came back for Red Dead Redemption 2. And he's been playing it nonstop since release date.
Oh.
He went in hard. Like, he hasn't been playing any other games. This is it. His most recent hour count into the game, he told me, was 350 hours of Red Dead Redemption 2. And
multiplayer.
He says, I'm thinking I'm getting to the point where I'm about to start the multiplayer. He's been 100% single player that whole time.
For the audio listener, my face is agape because wait, you said like 100 hour?
He's played it for 350 hours.
That has to you have to be what's his name? Not John Marston. What's his name?
Arthur Morgan?
Sorry, yes. Arthur Morgan has to be like decked out in lynx pelts by that point in the game and have all the diamond guns to be. That's how I am envisioning 350 hour Arthur Morgan.
He is pursuing the 100% completion percentage.
Why? What gives him? Is he obsessive compulsive?
So, we don't fit this case necessarily. So, he was fond of the first game, like you said. And also, like, Rockstar release is always like almost a cultural moment. It was a big enough deal that he dove back into gaming for this game, and it definitely got his hooks in him. He's definitely become a completionist for this game, not necessarily any other games. Red Dead Redemption 2. So I guess maybe Red Dead 2 was a big enough deal that it hooked in some lapsed gamers. Maybe that helped inflate its score. And by score, I mean sales figures.
Okay.
And that brings me to the third type of Red Dead Redemption 2 player, who I'm going to call Aaron. Aaron, kind of like Adam, he plays games in the past, but he still plays them too. He's the kind of gamer who...
He's an Assassin's Creed annualist?
Yeah, he's an annualist. He's
there we go.
A couple franchises he dips into year in and year out.
Yeah.
He's always going to pick up Call of Duty. He's into like F1 racing games, which I hear are pretty technical. But like annualized sports and racing games and Call of Duty, he's good for those year after year. But then Red Dead Redemption 2 got him. How did it get him, though? I think it was a combination of brand recognition and also positive word of mouth, because he's got me and he's got Adam talking up this game every day at the office. And that was enough to convince him to bite the bullet and try it out. Aaron hated this game. I think he promptly returned it. It wasn't like the games that are usually topping the sales charts. It's so much more methodical and slow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that has compelled me to believe that 1/3 of copies of Red Dead Redemption 2 were returned promptly because people didn't like it.
They thought it would be action-packed train robby.
Yeah, it's not a
bear killing.
It's not a high octane, tons of thrills per minute kind of game. It's for lack of a better term, it's a Wild West simulator. And for most of the time back then, life isn't that exciting.
No.
I mean,
and you have cholera to worry about.
Yeah. So, yeah, those are the three types of Red Dead players around my office.
Adam, Aaron, and Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, and that explains the sales landmark.
Yeah, name recognition and positive word of mouth, I'd say, blossomed its sales into first place.
Okay. Not that there would ever be a Red Dead Redemption 3, but do you think that they soiled the well, or poisoned the well, I meant to say, with the immersive nature of the sequel? Would this have cost their trilogy ending sales figures?
My prediction would be it will still be a huge success, but not as successful as the second one. Yeah,
not as successful, but is that because the lifestyle gameplay of 2 is enough to deter people from buying 3?
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so are Aaron's just put off by it so much?
Yeah, he constantly ridicules. He calls it the anti-Call of Duty just because of this game put him to sleep instead of elevating his heart rate.
Okay, interesting. We will see how your impression of this game is going into Chapter 5.
Oh, okay. Chapter 4 is just not worth mentioning.
No, Chapter 4 is along the same vein. It fits. It fits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying around Chapter 5 or 6, there's going to be some kind of a departure.
Literally and figuratively.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going to stick to it, and I'll be happy to report back. This game is probably not the most conducive game to be playing for a video game podcast.
I beg to differ. We've had our own fun with it with horse names and obesity.
Only because I feel like I'm going to be playing it for a long time. which won't mean a plethora of new content for the show.
That was friggin' Into the Breach, but we don't need to talk about my sick acid-related play with the Rust Hulkers.
Maybe you can tell me that off air.
I'll tell you that off air, yeah.
All right. I've stolen enough of the show.
We did a good job
so far. How about we hear about all of your outsourced game playing?
Yes. Okay. We will start with, this is the Heath show now. My girlfriend Bailey played Detroit Become Human to its entirety.
Wow.
Sorry, I said entirety. The way that the game bifurcates, she did not see every playthrough.
Not every single branch.
Right, but she played it sufficiently. So Detroit Become Human, because I haven't talked about it in ages, even though it always is fresh on my mind because it's at my very soul. It's the game where you play as 3 characters, Marcus, Kara, and Connor. They're all androids, and they all have their interactions with human beings. Much in the way that you played Red Dead, not pacifistly, but you went with good morality.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to shoot Native Americans from the get-go.
No.
That would be a risk that you wouldn't want to take. Connor, who's the detective guy, works hand in hand with the humans. Bailey chose to prioritize saving Connor's human partner, Hank, as opposed to risking his life for the perpetuation of the mission. And she also decided to run a peaceful Marcus. Marcus is the friggin' Malcolm X stand-in in which you lead the android peoples, and you can either be violent or peaceful.
Yeah.
You, in your playthrough, Chris, Kara and Alice are seeking shelter, and they can either stay in the motel, sleep in an abandoned car in a junkyard, or stay with this deranged android Ralph, who is clearly like short-circuiting and about to snap. But you chose to sleep with him, right, Chris? In the same house as his.
Seemed like the safest option.
Okay. Bailey met Ralph, and this is, for people who've not played Detroit yet, this is incredibly rare. She met Ralph, but chose to leave.
Oh.
Yeah, so she never she never had to wake up and role play the mommy daddy thing.
Never had to eat a raccoon.
Her loss. She immediately went and robbed the grocery store next so that she could stay in the hotel because she wasn't going to let Alice stay in the car. Zlatko, the clearly evil fat man, she saw through that immediately and was gonna up and leave like she did with Ralph as they walked to the basement. She managed to not get reset just because I held her hand through it. Okay, so we got to talk about this and she wouldn't mind me saying this. Her attention deficits warranted her having time and a half on exams in college.
Okay.
So for the reset clock of like, it's ticking up 20%, 21%, she's like, help me. And, she's button mashing. And she did that to some of the moments where you have to like QTE fight people. She would just and like sticks would get mixed up. It would make you like do a clockwise motion to turn the doorknob, and I would watch the camera go like a clockwise motion,
Okay.
Yeah, for those who are listening, I did a clockwise motion. So she saw through Zlatko, and what was I freaking saying? So she didn't get reset, and that was also atypical. Most people who play this game get reset. Most people, they don't sidestep certain pathways. She sidestepped quite a bit. In fact, North, who is the love interest character for Marcus, in your game, historically, she was kind of neutral to you and then ended up being your lover in this just ham-fisted scene.
Definitely.
Bailey met North in Jericho, the big boat.
Yes.
And North is initially this kind of, not like tsundere, but this, I don't want to talk to you. And she's bouncing a ball against like, who knows, maybe like a dead android that's gone so rigor mortis. You could just bounce a ball off of it. Anyway, so Bailey is interacting with this character who is resentful by nature. And she mistakenly goes with the dialogue option that's like, tell me about your past, which is clearly like a no-go for this character.
Yeah.
And so she sees like North go down because she didn't like that dialogue choice. So Marcus, is on the roof with North in that pivotal scene. and there's the button prompt again that's like, North's passed. And Bailey chooses to leave. She never gets the hand touch love connection. She just up and leaves because she was trained to not ask North about her past, even though in that point of the story, North would have warmed up to her, even though Bailey was going pacifist. So it was constant back and forth with North. So she never got your kissy. She ended up singing, and that's what won back the humans' favor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more.
Nearly there. You know how there's magazines in the game, right?
Those are pretty cool, yeah.
She could not be bothered to read magazines.
Okay.
I mean, there were some relevant to like the core story, like the one that has Kara's face on it.
Yeah.
But if there was something along the lines of like, bees are coming extinct and the Russian Arctic Cold War tensions raising, Bailey put that down as soon as she could. She could not be bothered with the in-game politics. She just wanted to get back to like the main characters. So that's not too bad. And that was her playthrough. Seth playing Outer Wilds.
Okay,
so
we're transitioning.
Yeah, so we're gonna Outer Wilds is that space exploration game that I put him up with, and he put it down. He went back to it, and I want to say that I knew he would, and I'm so glad he did.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, just because it's such a well-made game, and he knows that there's secrets.
Okay.
Because he only played it for like an hour and a half.
The mystery drew him back.
Yeah, it had to have. So I'm literally washing dishes in the kitchen. And the way that the basement is, because that's where my PC is, the vents leading up to the kitchen are like right here. So I'm washing dishes and I literally hear the end game music like, and I'm like, I stop scrubbing and I'm like, there's no way he has the information he needs to get the good ending. Oh no. And then I'm like, oh, should I go help him? He's going to get sidetracked and not want to finish. And then I choose to like let it happen. And I just keep scrubbing to that amazing soundtrack. And so he ends up saying like, yeah, I took the football basically to the guy I met. And he was like, he didn't do anything with it. And so I got like a weird ending. And I was like, you should totally go back. And he's in Arkansas now, so that's the end of that story. But
interesting.
So I hope. I mean, I don't know how much he saw, and he had to have had epiphanies during his playthrough. So you get what you came for in the form of these aha moments. But I can't. I doubt I would be able to convince him to play through the final act. So that's the book closed on his playthrough of that game.
Okay. Interesting. So he finished it, but didn't get the complete ending.
He got the not good ending.
Gotcha.
Which is possible. In other news, Splatoon 2. We haven't talked about Splatoon 2.
You've been playing Splatoon 2?
It's an old game, right?
A couple of years, yeah.
Okay.
One of those 2017 gems.
Oh man, what a
year.
Yeah. So, Splatoon 2 never piqued my mind as far as a get other people to play it kind of game. Because it doesn't really appeal to the first-person shooter types. Because it's you win by painting, and the folks who want to get headshots. Oh, speaking of headshots, Pokemon. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But I wasn't gonna put it on Bailey because she doesn't like people shooting at her for some reason. And then Bailey's sister with autism, I wasn't gonna put it on her because she had trouble controlling the character in Captain Toad, and Captain Toad is like as accessible as you can get for a not platformer. But Splatoon 2, a online multiplayer free-for-all, or not, no, it's team deathmatch.
Yeah, quite competitive.
If you put, so there's the guns that shoot the paint, right?
Yeah.
And there's like the paintbrushes that are like a melee option. Mm-hmm. And then there's like the grenades that splatter, massive coverage. And then there's the roller.
Yeah.
Which you've seen from Smash Ultimate.
I'm familiar with the paint roller.
Okay, yeah. The roller is so easy to use. because it's so intuitive. Like, oh, that ground doesn't have any paint on it. Squishy squish, and then you cover it, and you have like a concerted pathway to winning the game for someone who can't aim for their life. So the first time Tristan picks up the paint roller, she wins a game. And meanwhile, I'm trying to like unlock the paint roller by shooting the gun, because the paint roller you get at like level 4 or something.
Okay.
I'm trying to shoot our way to unlocking that, and I'm losing. It's because Splatoon 2 is 4v4, and I keep dying because I don't know, my FPS is not what it used to be. Boy, if anyone is struggling for a game, because their mom recommended like Castle Crashers. Did you ever play that game?
I have, yeah.
I don't like it.
Okay. I'm meh on it.
I am anti Castle Crashers.
I wouldn't go that far, but okay.
I would. Pick up Splatoon 2 and have your friends who are put off by intricate control options. Just give them the roller. And they'll feel the accomplishment of contributing to the team without having to worry about my accuracy. They're not you playing Call of Duty World War II on keyboard and mouse.
Gotcha.
So
the goal in Splatoon 2 is to cover more surface area of the map in your colored paint.
It's down to the percent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that the paint roller is kind of specializes in map coverage instead of like pure DPS
player versus player
elimination.
Yeah.
Got it. So that is arguably even more helpful,
accessible,
even more like directly relating to the game's objective, which is cover the map in paint.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like contributing to the team in a meaningful way.
Yeah. And there's other games in which you could make your own fun, but it's sort of at the cost of winning. And in this game, it's everything you could want.
It almost sounds like Splatoon 2 is like a role-based hero shooter, kind of. How like in Overwatch, you have people playing support and someone playing the tank role and someone doing DPS. In Splatoon, you've got the painters and then the killers.
It's like baby's first hero shooter.
Kind of.
Yeah. And that's it for all that I've been playing and watching, with the exception of like Jeopardy.
Okay. Are we going to cover that in the news section, perhaps?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, we're going to transition to the news section. We've got a couple cool things to touch on, and we'll see you then. And we're back. So I've got one news story, but I think you have several, Heath. So do you want to dive in?
Yeah, you want me to just rapid fire?
Sure.
All right, Sans is in Fortnite.
He is?
Yes. So the Undertale character, Sans, who... in Undertale, for the uninitiated, it's the indie game that nearly put 2015 in the S tier for us. for us. I mean,
spiritual successor to Earthbound by Toby Fox.
Yeah. And so I'm just happy that Sans got into Smash Ultimate. He now got into Fortnite in the form of like a costume.
How cool is it that this character who's a brainchild of one guy is popping up in some of the biggest video game franchises ever?
The most prolific things of the decade. Friggin' Disney has their hands in Fortnite and has like their whole thing.
Right.
But so does just one Toby.
Yeah. Fortnite featuring Thanos from Infinity War and Sans from Undertale.
Yeah, it's astonishing how prolific, there's no other word, his impact has been. So good for him. I couldn't be happier for Toby Fox.
Toby Fox deserves this. Absolutely.
I follow that closely. Other news. Pokemon Gun. So
okay.
Remember how when Sword and Shield got announced, the Pokemon games,
the names of the games got announced. Yeah.
A Spanish newspaper got fooled into thinking there was a Pokemon Gun along the same naming convention.
Right.
And I was like, lol, imagine if there was a Pokemon Gun. Inteleon Gigantamax. Okay, so The newest Pokemon games have Dynamax and Gigantamax and Mega Evolutions. They're just thinking like, oh, what do we do? Rather than come up with new ones, let's just make them big. So they went along and made them big, and some of them have actual cool designs, like Gigantamax Blastoise has more cannons and is bigger and intimidating. There's this one called Inteleon that becomes a crow's nest sniper position and holds like a finger.
The actual
Yeah, here we
image.
go. It gives it a gun. So this like frog-looking Pokemon holds out its finger in this sort of like, that's the actual image. It's
Wow.
a sniper. And it just shoots your opponent's Pokemon. And so I feel vindicated. It's full circle to that Spanish newspaper story. Pokemon gun.
Was this in the game at launch, or was this like an update?
This is part of the DLC that got announced in the most recent Pokemon Direct. Yeah, Pokemon is straight clowning its fan base by making them have to like buy these guys back.
Gotcha.
Also Jeopardy. So I'm paying attention to Jeopardy because that one guy, we brought up James Holzhauer and then didn't bring up how he lost right before he beat Ken Jennings's money streak.
It was pretty incredible how close he was.
Yeah. He had the record for most money won in a single game. But
Have you seen this? If you look up the top 10 highest grossing winnings from a single Jeopardy game, James has all 10.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He's raking it in on individual games.
He is the top 10 list.
He is the top 10 list.
Most individual games winnings.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, because he just broke it.
And then broke it hundreds of more times.
Because he could afford to bet it all in the daily doubles because he has such a good question win rate. Anyway, so he's competing against Ken Jennings and then Brad Rutter, who each have their own accolades.
Right.
And it's not a runaway for James. Ken has 2 games on him, so it's best to 3.
First to 3?
First 3. Sorry, James has 1 game 1, and then Ken has 2. Because they're playing by James's handbook.
Okay. They've adopted his strategy.
Literally just amass a worthy enough wager for when you find the daily double and like make sure that your opponents don't get the daily doubles. So I'm following it closely. I nearly missed game night on Friday, but it's not going to air again until Tuesday. So by the time this airs, we'll know who the Jeopardy GOAT is. And I hope it's James even though he's kind of a dick and he's like actively making fun of his fellow players.
On an earlier episode, you went on the record saying James has a punchable face.
Oh, yeah. And that's partly because of his attitude. Did I really? I don't remember that.
Quick tangent. How did you get to game night on Friday?
My mom dropped me off.
Okay.
Because I'm after that test drive. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I took her car to the test drive.
But how is Jeopardy related to you running late?
When did I say that?
A couple minutes ago, you were like, I was almost late to Friday's game
Oh, no,
night.
I almost didn't want to go to game night so I could catch the broadcast.
Gotcha.
But it got pushed for whatever reason.
Okay.
That's why.
Now I know where your priorities lie.
Well, forget it was the best. Okay, because I was telling Tristan will say, Heath, who's your favorite Jeopardy contestant? And there was this one contestant named Buzzy who has a funny name, and he was also likable. But now I have to like set the record straight and say like this is the best Jeopardy game in the show's history and will be for a long time because these guys are so knowledgeable. And to think that any other Jeopardy game, like I wouldn't stand a chance against these guys. So that was Jeopardy. There's also this PlayStation 5.
Got a logo.
It
came out of the CES conference.
Yes. And people are making fun of how Devolver Digital made fun of how if you turn the PS5 logo upside down, it spells SSD, which means it will contain an SSD hard drive.
I think that's accurate. I think they've said it will.
I know, but like this is seeing things that weren't initially designed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Developer just being funny. So, do you have any thoughts on the PS5? It's way too early.
Way too early to discuss it.
To have, other than like,
yeah.
Boy.
We can only talk about 3 characters on a screen, the logo, for so long.
Get excited. Anyway.
I've got a news.
Okay, well, yeah. Get this back on track.
All right. I will never pass up an opportunity to talk about The Witcher. Can we talk about how popular the Witcher TV show is for a second?
It is? What? I mean...
So Netflix, this is a Netflix original.
Yeah.
They released a top 10 list of their most viewed shows of the past year. The Witcher was number 2.
Oh.
And only
but it
losing...
just came out.
And it just came out. Yeah, it came out December 20th. So it had like 11 days to qualify. Only losing to Stranger Things Season 3, which had been out since July. So much longer runtime there. Yeah,
and that's tried and true. It's Season 3.
Right. It has
the fan base.
The fan base. Although, you could say, The Witcher has its built-in fan base as well. This is a pre-existing franchise.
Yeah, well, it's not the... surely the game's fan base is not the majority of people watching it on Netflix.
Yes, that is true.
They are the minority. Yeah.
Probably. Although these are very successful games, they're definitely not a drop in the bucket. There's quite a few Witcher fans out there. The third game that sold gangbusters.
So surely confirmed for a Season 2.
Oh, yeah, it's in production, actually. What's even more interesting is how this affected the Steam concurrent Witcher 3 player base. How many players are playing The Witcher 3 on Steam?
Was there like a bubble?
Not just a bubble. It set a new record.
Oh my gosh.
More people are playing The Witcher 3 in 2020.
Oh, than like GTA or something?
Than were playing it when it released in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, this is like a huge coming out party for the game. The original record for most current players playing The Witcher 3 on Steam was May of 2015 when the game came out. 4.5 years later, that record has been broken. Because of the popularity of this show.
This is only supposed to happen with Minecraft.
Yeah, so single-player games aren't supposed to have big tails on them. Those are your games as a service/multiplayer games, which maintain their popularity. Single-player games traditionally die off fast.
Yeah.
So the takeaway here for all the industry vets is all you have to do is make one of the best video games ever made, and then get Netflix to greenlight a series adaptation of it. And you're going to set a new record.
Yeah, easy.
That's all you've got to do.
Yeah.
Just copy that playbook. It's clear as day. So I'm so happy to see that. Probably because that means, after all this cyberpunk, we're probably getting a Witcher 4.
But where does the story go? Quick.
Good question.
Predict.
Maybe,
modern day.
I don't know. Maybe we could follow a different Witcher. Maybe we could follow...
Of course, because you're so anthological.
Anthological?
Is that a phrase? Oh, let's look at...
Oh, anthology?
Yeah.
We could pick up a series story. They could find a way to continue it.
No, they're not going to leave Geralt. No, because he's the face.
If I had to guess, I'd say The Witcher 4, should a game like that exist, would not star Geralt.
Whoa.
Maybe he pops into it as a cameo, but I don't think he would be the protagonist.
Oh. Okay. I should play the games and make my own predictions.
So maybe you should ride this Witcher hype wave, Heath. Get it, be a part of the trend, and start up your Witcher 3 Wild Hunt playthrough.
Chris, there is so, because you've asked me to play The Witcher before, and you included it among your suggestions, and we are in the record-breaking, milestone-making moments of history, and I have still not played it. Why are you friends with me? I have been waylaying your massive requests. So yeah, I need to play this. There's no excuse.
Yeah, this podcast has been a long con to get you to play it.
Yeah, as soon as I play it, you're like, got what I came for, and then you unplug the mic.
Mobius tubes, that's a wrap.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, good for CD Projekt.
Yep.
I don't really care about Andrzej
Sapkowski.
Yeah.
He's understandably
He's making
kind of
tons of money.
Yeah, he's doing well now. He's understandably a little miffed about how successful the games were compared to the books.
Oh yeah.
I would be. Is that all the news we have this week?
I'm gonna call. We mentioned Smash earlier. I'm gonna call the last DLC fighter.
Oh, you're gonna make a prediction?
Yeah, it's gonna be Dante.
That would be pretty. I would be happy about that.
It's gonna be Dante.
From Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
You know, he was one that was kind of floating around my head where I feel like he fits. I'll get behind that prediction. I think you're not. I don't think you're crazy.
I know this because.
Do you have insider connections?
Well, I mean, I trust my source. The Switch releases of the Devil May Cry games are coming at such an opportune time.
Oh, okay.
And they're getting like quality of life features and stuff. And I think the way that things are timing up and how well Devil May Cry 5 did, it's gonna be Dante.
I think Dante has enough recognition to be like a big enough deal for a final character reveal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, that's mine.
You sounded very unenthusiastic about that.
Well, because I wished it was Sans, or I wished it was Master Chief, or like all these complete pipe dream characters that I really wanted.
There's going to be more characters. This is the
know.
end of season 1. There's going to be more added characters. Maybe you'll get your pie in the sky hopes and dreams then.
All right.
It won't be Sans, though. They already added the
He's
Sans
already
skin.
a Mii fighter, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right, that's news.
Then we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we will have questions/emails to talk about. See you then. And we're back.
We're back.
Okay, so we have a listener email to cover.
Let's remind the folks.
Yeah.
'Cause
So you too, just like this listener, can write to us and we'll read your question on the air and answer it sublimely.
verbatim.
Yeah. The way to write to us is sending an email to the email address mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com.
MobiusTubesPodcast@gmail.com.
So this email would have been very appropriate for last episode.
Ah, dang.
It can't be.
Well, last episode was huge, was it not?
It was, yeah. There might not have been time to fit it in, but would have been great for the first episode of 2020. We'll get it in now. It just missed. It like came in like 2 days after we recorded that episode, unfortunately.
Okay.
But better late than never. Okay. The subject line of this email is cease and desist. Hello, Heath.
Oh, yeah, we've heard this before. Yeah.
Basic question here. What are your 2020 gaming resolutions? Some people like to set a goal to lose weight or eat healthier.
Wait, I just mentioned this friggin' lose weight thing.
But as a dedicated gaming podcast host, I'm sure there are some measurable aspirations you have for the podcast in the new year. For instance, maybe Heath strives to play at least one game before each episode. Already failed that one. Or Chris finally plays Divinity Original Sin 2 after promising to for years and years.
Oh.
Who knows what other outlandish goals are out there? From the Mito Man.
Okay. The call-outs, well deserved.
His, for you, was so on the nose.
I
Wow.
guess so, yeah. All right, well, you start.
Okay, yeah, I've had more time to think this over. And yeah, so I have a similar, we never talked about gaming resolutions last year. I think I proposed it and you shot it down.
Well, because, gaming resolutions. I think we did the right thing by having assigned reading for the year, but not necessarily have to curate our playthroughs. Because as soon as you make me sit through something that I don't want to do, I'll rip it apart like I did Arkham Knight, and that hurts our chances of a developer contacting us and putting us in games.
I see. These are just things you want to do for yourself, right? Last year, this was off the air, but I wanted to trim my gaming backlog. I took a record of how many games I have sitting already purchased that I actually wanted to play. And at the beginning of, this was the beginning of 2019, so last year, there were 20 games in that pile. And then I checked in again at the end of 2019, and I had reduced it down to 14. So, some progress. I'd like to take that 14 number and get it down to 7 or fewer by the end of 2020. That's a resolution of mine, which means some of the games I'm probably going to be playing this year are, I'm working on Red Dead Redemption 2. I've got Fallout 4 to check out as part of the Heath recommended picks. Nate is on the nose. I have Divinity Original Sin 2 just begging to be played. That game is crazy. I've dipped into like the pick your character screen, and already it's like oozing quality. I have the 2016 Hitman reboot to play. Yeah, just like that social stealth kind of simulator.
I wouldn't mind playing that. That was cool.
Oh, I have FTL I want to play. That's in my backlog.
I have FTL.
Nice. So the precursor to Into the Breach.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be
It's like a space crew game.
Yeah. It's a roguelike like Into the Breach, but there aren't turns. It's real time, but you can like pause it and then issue your commands to your crew members and then unpause it and they'll like carry them out in real time.
Okay.
I've got a Yakuza game. We can bring that back. I've got Yakuza Kiwami I want to play. And then another one I want to play is the Zero Escape trilogy.
What? Is that that sounds like a Japanese fighter jet game.
You got the first word right.
Okay.
It's a Japanese visual novel series.
Boo! Go on.
It's called Zero Escape. From what I've gathered, it's kind of like a series of puzzle/escape rooms.
Oh, that sounds way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
And then there's like this weird meta narrative in it, which is supposedly like breaks the fourth wall in this crazy way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're a prisoner of your own recreation. Yeah, I'm calling it now.
Oh, maybe you just spoiled the games. I don't know.
Probably did, yeah.
You're a prisoner of your own recreation. Okay. Yeah, so that's my resolution, to continue playing the games I already have, and to make it a little more of an edge to this prediction. I want to see how far I can make it into 2020 without buying a new game or without making a purchase, because I've got like this wealth of content I need to dip into, which will keep me busy for several months at least. So yeah, I want to see how much willpower I can have to not buy Assassin's Creed Odyssey as soon as the price drops down to like $20.
That's super hard because the new hotness is always more appealing than the old and dusty.
Right. Yeah. Oftentimes, I'm most excited to play a game as soon as I've made the purchase, which means like some of these games, which are fine games, some of their luster has kind of faded because they're just...
You have them.
They'll
always be there.
They're always going to be there. Exactly. They're decaying in my Steam library.
Bite by bite.
So yeah, that's my prediction. See how far I can make without buying more games and try to cull this backlog some more.
Your resolutions.
Yeah, my resolutions.
Yeah.
What's your new gaming resolution, Heath?
This will be a surprise to no one. My resolutions, because I get the most utility out of other people do the things that I know are fun. Whether that's watching Bailey play Detroit, or pushing Outer Wilds on you and my brother, or watching people react to Sans for the first time. This is no surprise. So my resolutions, because there's no game that I could play myself, other than maybe like Baba Is You, that puzzle game where you can literally push around the rules that are written on the level.
It's such a cool idea.
Yeah, and I watched, maybe it was probably was Game Maker's Toolkit.
Love that guy.
He was like, if you haven't played it, stop the video now. And I did, because I trust him more than anyone. I trust him with my life.
Yeah.
No, you pushed him on me. But other than maybe playing Baba Is You or getting very good at like a multiplayer game and being able to just absent-mindedly school people beyond measure, there's no game that I could play that would give me as much entertainment as watching you be on the footsteps of discovery in Outer Wilds and being like, I don't get it, and turning around and just being like, you're so close, you know, and getting the morphine drip of watching you be like, oh, I get it, and being like, yes, you know, that, like, there's no, I live so vicariously. What's the episode where we talked about the toddler model of like the 6 types of play, and I'm the kid in the pink shirt or something or other?
Yeah,
that inescapable. I will never be the kind of guy that's like, oh well, I'm having a lot of fun in Marvel Spider-Man, pew pew web sling. Like, there's no resolution I could make that isn't like, I got to see such and such do such and such. So I don't know what the Mito Man wants. Of course I ought to play a game for my video game podcast, but aside from, I'll just list off like Baba's You, and like you said, things that are dusty. Friggin' Dead by Daylight I didn't play as much as I ought to have. And then Brain Age. Brain Age is available in Japan, Australia, Europe, not North America for some reason.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Remember how you said like, oh, it comes out January 3rd?
Yeah.
In Europe and Australia, but the English speaking world aside from those places is like out of luck. So I gotta wait.
Has it been announced for North America, or is it unclear if it's even coming?
I looked for a release date for North America, and there was none. And I'm not too broken up about it because I saw that it wasn't reviewing as hotly as maybe the DS version did. The DS version also had fun things where the DS had a microphone, so it would show you the word green, but in red colored text, and you'd have to say red. And that's kind of like a brain thing that you can't do with the Switch because it doesn't have a microphone. And they make use of like the infrared thing on Joy-Cons and being like, oh, you have to like gesture the number of the addition or subtraction. And that's kind of a cool thing that might happen. And I wanted to play Brain Age with my brother because I wanted to be like, haha, I'm smarter than you. But I couldn't because it wasn't out yet. So sure, I mean, if that ever comes out in North America, I'd like to pick it up, but it's $60 because Nintendo. Ugh. So, Chris, you gotta help me. I'm going into a manic spiral. What should my resolutions be?
The resolution has to come from yourself, Heath. Otherwise, it's meaningless.
Yeah, but I'm so...
It sounds like you want to further develop your...
catalog of games that I wish I could push on other people.
I was going to say, like, you want to become an even more prolific gaming Sherpa.
That would make sense to me, yeah. Maybe that's kind of my calling card.
Yeah, maybe that means seeking out more games that are appropriate to Sherpa people into, or just actually doing it more. The Sherpa-ing?
Yeah, maybe. Because I played some Civilization 5.
You're supposed to Sherpa me into that game.
Yeah, that's another one. So maybe, yeah. That's my resolution. And, I ought to be happy with that because it's not like... It's actually more noble than you.
Yeah. Mine is purely self-centered and focused.
Yeah, so I'll take that. My resolution is to further curate my list of games that I think the people in my life would enjoy.
Gotcha.
And provide that service. And it's also a self-centered service because that's what I enjoy most of all.
Right. All right. I think we've sufficiently answered the Mito Man. Mm-hmm. I asked you to come up with an email-length discussion question. Did you come up with anything?
So Chris puts in a lot of work into this show, generating these discussion topics, some of which have been the best episodes. Industry revenue generating conversation, when we countered Ian Bogost's take. Those are highlights of the show. Well, it's time to dwarf those highlights in comparison with a Heath-created discussion topic. Have I brought a discussion topic in?
I remember on like episode 4 or something, you said, let's talk about backtracking.
Okay, yeah. And that was a worthwhile discussion that everyone remembers.
Definitely.
So, I forgot about that. Here comes another conversation topic from my wheelhouse that you can contribute to, Chris.
Awesome.
And this will be quick. This is not super long. What?
Oh, there's a visual aid for this segment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Get wrecked, audio listeners. So,
which is all of our listeners.
this is all of them. Yeah, we don't have a live stream. Since the birth of Marx, history has been characterized as a struggle between classes, the haves versus the have-nots. In the new film Parasite, Bong Joon-ho does a great job of distinguishing between these classes by using subtle visual aids to differentiate between the rich and the poor. And I'm showing Chris a screenshot of the film Parasite. Have you heard about this movie?
A little bit, yeah.
It's massive critical acclaim, even though no one will see it.
Have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I watched that video by Nerdwriter.
Okay.
But isn't that cool how they use the pane of the window to
as a dividing
literally
line.
That's like film school 101. Much like Karl Marx, this is a conflict that has been exacerbated during our lifetime. Thankfully, some video games have found creative ways to mitigate classism. Let's break down the in-game economies of video games in Heath's spectrum of in-game economies.
Okay.
All right. Let us start, and this will be you'll catch on very quickly what this is. Let's start with the very end of the spectrum.
Sure.
Where we find most mobile games in which you can essentially just pay to win. You know,
okay.
No secret to that. If you run out of lives, you can simply buy them.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the gun that does the most damage, you can buy them. And it's just same goes for pachinko machines. Can you tell the fans what pachinko machines are?
It's a form of gambling that's popular in Japan. Is that right?
Yeah. You get out what you put in the form of money, less so time. You know, it's just baked into the gameplay model. We call this the pure pay to win bourgeois orgy.
Okay.
And that included when I say most mobile games, I mean from like the 2010s.
Sure.
Because early mobile games were actual games.
You like paid a fixed price and then you got a whole game.
Like
there.
the Fruit Ninjas and the Angry Birds. But then it became buy an extra life kind of thing.
For the listeners at home, Heath is holding like a poster board, and on the far left, he's got these two pictures. One is a bunch of Asian folks playing pachinko machines, it looks like, and the other image is just like generic mobile apps.
Google image.
On a cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it looks like there's 4 more columns to get to.
Yes.
No, I mean 3 more, 4 in total.
So we move along the spectrum away from the pure pay-to-win category.
Bourgeois orgy.
Yeah. And then there is the cushion of capitalism. This is where games that are not necessarily just pure microtransaction pitfalls. This is where games allow you to achieve, but you could also buy. The go-to example is like Pokemon Go, of which I have not paid a cent, but I have been able to earn greater storage capacity for my guys because it's limited for items and Pokemon themselves. And I have been able to get enjoyment out of that game despite not investing actual money into it. Then there's also this game called Escape from Tarkov. Chris, have you heard of this game?
I have, actually.
So it's doing very well in the Twitch live streamer world, despite being a game that came out like the same year as Fortnite 2017, right?
I don't know when this came out.
I think Tarkov came out in 2017.
I've only heard about it recently, like within the past 2 months or so.
Yeah, and I get the appeal of it. It's basically like a Russian battle royale, except you can bring in gear that you've collected from other playthroughs.
Yeah.
And that will help your chances of survival. The game Escape from Tarkov, you want to reach an extraction point.
Yeah.
But you can stick around, kill other players, and then kill these scavvers, who are these AI-controlled guys that make a lot of noise and are basically, you would want to avoid them to avoid detection.
I see.
but you basically just collect more loot. And this is one of those, you mentioned like F1 racing in which the driving is very technical. This is also like kind of the gun porn, very technical, down to the grips and sight calibration. There's ricochet mechanics. It's a very polished engine. But the reason it's in the cushion of capitalism, the cushion of capitalism is just a reference to, you can play through the game, but if you put more money into it, it'll make it more convenient, more comfortable. Here, rest your head on this cushion. You can buy the standard edition, which is like $44, and that's just how big your stash is. Let's say you scavenge like an AK-47 and it ends up being in your stash. If you buy like the Elite Edition, your stash is that much bigger. Although apparently you can expand the size of your stash by playing. So it's not a pure pay to win, but a person who spends money is going to have a greater stash, have more tools to use, increase their survivability, and progress that much faster. So that's Escape from Tarkov.
Got it.
Then there is what I will describe as the peak meritocracy in video games. Can you guess what it is?
The peak meritocracy.
Yeah, it has never been better than this in the forms of skill is... So you define what a meritocracy is.
That's where success is governed by merit or competency.
Yes, your skill is the sole determinant of how well you do.
I'm going to say this is going to be the category with like Overwatch in it, where the microtransactions give you cosmetics but have no in-game benefit.
Yes, I put that over here in the Marxist utopia.
Oh, okay.
You jumped the gun a little bit. That's where I put Fortnite, Minecraft, and Overwatch, as you mentioned. Yes, there are microtransactions, but they are purely cosmetic and they provide no in-game benefit.
Yeah, no advantage.
Peak meritocracy, something you might not be familiar with. It's Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Okay.
Now, why would you did not expect this at all? Did you never play the zombie map Transit?
I have never played the zombie map Transit.
It was a unique Black Ops 2 zombie map in which there's a bus and you can get on the bus and it will take you to other places on the map that would have been blocked off to you by the fog of had you gone away from the well-lit areas in the in-between zones, these head-grabbing zombies will come in and unless you have enough health, you'll easily be downed, and it's so difficult to revive people out there. So the bus riding mechanic was the hallmark of that. And then there was also the introduction of a bank vault. Because when you shoot a zombie, you get points, and you can spend those points on perks, and you can spend those points on guns. And remember, like the Pack-a-Punch machine?
Yeah.
Fond memories of the Pack-a-Punch machine.
Fond memories.
Wow. It's so creative. It would give guns like fun names and cool textures. Don't you just want to play it right now?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that thing in years.
Yeah, it was so refreshing, and it made them all fun. It gave them fun names, and you wanted to see all those names. I've definitely watched a video solely of like all the Pack-a-Punch weapons. Like even you can Pack-a-Punch the ballistic knife, and it would heal people at a distance.
Whoa.
Yeah, like a long distance revive. The bank vault allowed you to invest points in 1,000 increments, and in a subsequent game, you could withdraw points that you deposited. It was exclusively to you. You couldn't donate points to other players. And you would withdraw them in a next game in order to progress that much faster. So it's solely no microtransactions back in these days. You just had this bank system, and how well you did governed how well you would do the next game when you would withdraw however many points that you deposited. And so Jason Ephraim would do this every time because he earned so many points. And he'd be like, why do you guys suck? Because we didn't have a savings account. And so that's what I characterized as the peak meritocracy along the spectrum of in-game economies. It was never better than Call of Duty Black Ops 2. And so here's the question, like the conversation topic. Are there other games that you can think of? Like you mentioned Overwatch. Are there other games that integrate like an in-game economy. You played Hearthstone.
Yeah.
You played Destiny 2.
Barely.
Does Destiny 2 fall into the cushion of capitalism?
I
Or is it a Marxist utopia?
Destiny 2, I did not play enough to understand its
To-
economy. Also, it's a game that's constantly changing, so they probably revamped the economy 3 times by now.
Right, yeah.
So I have no idea about that. Hearthstone, you'd have like a daily quest to do, and if you complete, it would be a randomized fun thing, like win 2 games with this kind of deck or something like that. And if you do that, it would give you some in-game currency, which you could also get by paying real-world money, but I would rarely, if ever, do that. I think across my 2 years of Hearthstone playing, I put in about $14, and that was for like some campaign kind of expansions.
Okay.
Single player content kind of stuff.
Okay.
Which also comes with cards you can use in the multiplayer space. But yeah, you could also just buy a booster pack of cards for real world money if you wanted to, which has a chance of being very helpful in the online mode, which could give you an advantage if you have a really useful card that's kind of broken and unbalanced, and you're more likely to get it the more packs you open.
So that qualifies as pay to win in my book. Or pay
It
to
could
succeed
be.
harder.
Yeah, it would definitely be a leg up. You still don't necessarily know how to use the card to its full potential in the game.
Okay.
And you still could eventually get it by just pure grinding out daily quests, but that would be at a slower pace. So I would call it light pay to win. Maybe like a hard brick of capitalism. Not quite a cushion, but still some capitalism.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the step stool instead of a ladder.
Right.
Okay.
Where would you slot God of War? A game you pay for and then never spend more money on.
Well, yeah, it didn't have any in-game economy, so I don't even think it has a place on the spectrum.
Oh, okay.
I guess it would be a Marxist utopia because it doesn't matter if you're loaded, that's not going to affect your battle against the stone giant.
That's what you mean by Marxist utopia. Or you lost me for a second. So like once you're in the game, money has no tangible benefit.
You could, so Tiny Tim could play against Richie Rich, and you wouldn't know the difference.
They're on an equal playing field.
Right.
Got it. Cool.
So that was my little science project.
That's good for a laugh. I like it.
Yeah.
Wow, you came up with I sent you that text like 4 hours ago or something.
Yeah.
And you made a whole visual aid.
I woke up to it and I was just like, all right, what do I talk about? And that's what came out.
So we can wind it down.
Well, I want to challenge anybody to come up with other games that fall into this peak meritocracy thing, because I think there's only one game that I put in there. But surely it's not alone.
So you're saying peak meritocracy is your successful performance on a previous game gives you advantage on the games going forward?
Yeah, Escape from Tarkov would have made it into the peak meritocracy thing if they didn't sell these like Ubermensch editions that allow you to,
Gotcha.
max things out. Because I really liked how, the gear you got from last round, you could bring with you into the next one.
In Tarkov.
That's what appealed to me super, because it's not like Fortnite in which everything's a blank slate every time.
I also think it's funny that the objective of a game of Escape from Tarkov is to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like while picking up cool gear along the way to use in those future games.
Yeah, because everyone's trying to make it to a certain exit.
You have a personalized exit you're going towards.
It's a PUBG looking map, and rather than the shrinking circle, it's like get moving.
Gotcha.
So.
All right, yeah, good challenge for all the listeners to think of games that fit on your gaming economic spectrum there. And you can send us all your ideas at the email address mobiustubespodcast@gmail.com. Plug that a third time. You can follow us on Twitter @mobiustubes.
We should get a Reddit. Oh, can someone make a Reddit?
Oh, a whole subreddit?
That would be
for
fun.
Mobius Tubes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I would really appreciate that.
We can...
Because then I could sort by top.
Yeah. And then even if we can't get your face on their actual podcast apps, we can throw it up all over the subreddit.
Make up for
and
it. Yeah.
watch our listenership plummet.
Yeah, 0 active users. All right, great. Well, thanks for stopping by, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.